George Bernard Shaw once wrote, "My life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I will live." My favorite George Bernard Shaw story was once he presented one of his plays, and the audience after the play was on their feet asking and applauding for author, and he came out and he gave a bow, and they were on their feet for 5 minutes, and they finally sat down and it quieted down, except for the guy in the front row, and he kept going, boo, boo, boo. And George Bernard Shaw looked at him for a while, and then he said, "Sir, I quite agree with you, but who are we two compared to all those others?" Now, once you retire, and once you've taken your car trip to Lake Wobegon or wherever, a lot of people find that they're kind of at ends meet. They don't know what to do with themselves. And volunteering is a great thing to do. You don't want to fall victim to the advice that some people get in their retirement, which is, don't get the car lubed and your hair cut the same day. I want to talk a lot about what you can give to your community. First of all, you have a lot of talent that you've accumulated over the years. Second of all, you are wise. A recent study compared people from the ages of, I believe it was 40 to 60, 20 to 40, and over 60. Those three groups of people, and they gave them problems that dealt with solving problems between people and making things better in a community. And sure enough, the group over 60 came out better every time in every different category in terms of education or what. It was the elder people that were the wisest people. So you have a lot to give back to your community. Also, you want to remember that Winston Churchill, Earl Warren, and Ronald Reagan all did their best work after the age of 60. And thanks to arthritis, Grandma Moses stopped knitting at the age of 70 and picked up a paintbrush, and we are all the better for it. What can you do? If you're a lawyer or a doctor or someone maybe in the health professions, you can maybe continue doing what you have been doing as a volunteer. If you are a business person, there is an organization called SCORE.org, and that takes people who are retired business people and have them mentor new business people, and that could be richly rewarding. There's a joke about the chemical engineer that decided in his retirement he was going to keep doing the same kinds of things, but he was going to in fact turn vodka into urine. Now that's a funny joke, but a horrible, horrible life choice. But when you're thinking about retirement or what you should do as a volunteer, don't be wedded necessarily to what you've done before in your work life. I would recommend that you sit down and start writing about what you might want to do as a volunteer. I have found that when you start to write things, you will get ideas that you didn't even know that you had. Once a young author was advised, don't write about what you know, write about what you don't know you know. And I think when you write, there will be things that you don't know that will come about. When I was reading one time, I came across a marvelous phrase called mind-forged manacles. And the idea is oftentimes our mind will tell us that we can't do things when we might be able to. So you might write down or be thinking about, well, I would like to volunteer as a clown. And your mind's going to say that's impossible without even playing around with that idea. So write down, I want to be a clown, and then maybe other ideas will come from that. Do you want to work with kids? Many, many opportunities in the schools. Do you want to work with seniors? You can volunteer at an adult care day care center. You can deliver meals on wheels. Do you want to work with your mind, or do you want to work with your hands? A lot of people, you could volunteer as a helper carpenter, building houses for poor people under Habitat for Humanity. Do you want to work full-time, or do you want to work part-time? Indeed, another thing to think about is, where do you want to stay? Peace Corps takes people of all ages. So maybe you're still enthralled with John Fitzgerald Kennedy and doing what you can for your country rather than what your country can do for you. So spend some time writing about what you would like to do as a volunteer. Now, how do you find opportunities? Obviously on the World Wide Web, many, many choices. Probably the best place to start is something called seniorcorps.gov, and that will give you places to go to check it out. If you're interested in teaching or working in a school, there's something called experiencecorps.org. And that's not national, but in many places it is, and they would place you with an elementary school or a high school to help out in the library, in the classroom, or whatever. At the local level, your local newspaper will have a column about places to volunteer. Another great place to go is to your area council on aging. The one here that in my community has a full-time person that just works on putting people in touch with volunteer opportunities. And I was over there one day and a guy walked in and he said, you know, I am free on Tuesday mornings. What do you have? And this woman put some stuff into the computer and came up with 3 or 4 choices to allow him to work on Tuesday mornings. Now, what are the benefits of volunteering? Johns Hopkins School of Medicine did a study of 125 individuals who were working in local elementary schools for a year and compared them with 125 people who were doing nothing at home. First of all, they found that the volunteers made an incredibly significant benefit to the kids that were in those classes. Those kids, their reading scores were much higher than in comparable classes, and the referrals to the principal's office were a lot less frequent. As for the volunteers, it was all good news. They had their cognition, they gave them mental tests afterwards, and they were smarter for having done that. They were in better physical condition, and they had more friends. They knew people that they could turn to in the times of hard times or celebrate good times. So the benefits of volunteering are many. The human mind loves novelty. So if you're trying to do something new, you're meeting new people, you're learning new tasks, your mind is going to be actively engaged, and that is going to help you in the long run. Now, it also helps you get out of the house, quite frankly. There's the old joke about the woman saying to her husband when he retires, yes, okay, I promised to stay with you till death do us part, but not for 24 hours a day. Now, if I have not yet convinced you to volunteer, this should do the trick. The Johns Hopkins School of Medicine study found that volunteers, compared to non-volunteers, volunteers burned more calories.